A lot of black males today talk about the fact that most black females today prefer to chase so-called thugs. The truth of the matter is, this is nothing new. For black men growing up in the age of the bastard baby maker, most intelligent black males notice this as soon as they begin to notice girls, which is middle school or high school. The average black male is stupefied why females have told him they want someone who isn't in and out of jail, isn't on drugs, and is doing something with his life, and yet they overlook those types of males for guys who are in and out of jail, do drugs, and aren't doing anything with their lives. This video is not for the females who engage in this contradictory behavior. It's for the nerds and good guys who need to understand the logical explanation for why they have been overlooked and why it's probably okay. Guys, the fellas with the sagging pants and overpriced shoes are your societal inferiors. But the problem is that thugs have something nerds don't. Thugs actually possess social skills. All of us nerds need to be honest about ourselves. The reason we read so much is because we were far more interested in books than we were in people. And a lot of us are still the same way. You can say what you want about thugs, but you have to admit they are students of human behavior. Now, you might say they're trying to exploit people, but regardless, they don't spend their time with books. They spend their time with people. Now, be honest, fellas. Most of us nerds hate social situations. We don't like parties. We never go to school dances. We absolutely hate clubs, and we even avoid one-on-one conversations. What we have to learn is that all the things we were taught in school are worthless when it comes to the real world. What we were taught was that he with the best grades wins, because if you do well in school, you'll do well in life. And in a lot of cases, that's true. But smart young black males fall into the same mistake that smart older black females fall into. Notice the similarity. The females who have the hardest time getting a man are the older black females, older as defined as late 20s or later. When these women talk about why men should prefer them, what do they always toss up first? Their education. So what do you know? The same argument that fails for educated black males is the same one that fails for educated black females, even when talking to educated black males. The reason this fails for black women is because having a degree may make you a good employee, but that doesn't make you a good mate. And this is the same reason nerds lose to thugs. Just because you were a good student doesn't mean you're a good mate. All the things you did to impress your teacher do nothing to impress females in general. This is confusing because we have it beaten into us from the time we could talk that the most successful people in life are the ones with the best education. And this is often true. The problem is that being the smartest guy in class may make you the most attractive person to a teacher or a school or an employer, but it practically never makes you the most attractive person to a young female. For example, who is the popular guy at your job? The guy who knows all the rules and regulations? Or the one who showed you how to keep your job without going by the rules and regulations? We as nerds, and I proudly count myself as one, developed tremendous academic abilities, and that gave us our financial success. But we didn't have social skills, and we didn't try to, because our parents and teachers assured us that one day we would be so successful that the females would flock a path to our door. And boy, were they right. The problem is, while we were off on the sidelines playing Richie Cunningham waiting for our one day, we're now left to choose from the leftovers that the Fonz has already picked over. Our teachers didn't tell us that was going to happen. The reason for that is because when our teachers were kids, girls weren't having sex at 13 and getting pregnant at 16. They gave us expectations that worked fine in the pre-bastard baby maker era. But today, the numbers are against us. Females no longer value their sexuality. They try to commoditize it, and it's for sale to the male who she thinks offers the most. And that brings me back to the thugs. While smart black men were cultivating book skills, we didn't really develop social skills. On the other hand, thugs knew they would never develop academic skills, so they ferociously developed their people skills. The first thing you notice about thuggish personalities is how gregarious they are. From Al Capone to Frank Lucas, these guys aren't afraid to walk up and throw their arm over your shoulder and introduce themselves to anyone. Females wait to be approached, and thugs understand that when it comes to meeting a woman, it's a foot race for who can get to her first. In other words, that means you can't wait. But hold on. What were we nerds taught? We were taught to wait, and that one day the females would come to us. Now, I'm not telling anyone to try to get with a woman before you're ready, but I am saying please recognize the fundamental flaw of the advice our teachers gave us nerds. It was a great long-term strategy, but it assumes all the females won't have slept with every bum and lowlife who walked up to them in the meantime, and today that is just not the case. So our teachers' advice has contradicted the facts we see in front of us, and they're not the only ones. Probably the most frustrating thing we hear is how females complain about men who call them names, have no education, and won't get a job. And then who do you see them chasing? The guys who call them hoes, have no education, and won't get a job. So the nerds are left wondering how is it they can say they want what we have and yet they overlook us. The reason for this is because we were fed the lie that females love intelligence. Even females constantly say this, and it's a lie. Every man knows it, but even females won't admit it to themselves, even though their behavior only proves it. We all know women are primarily emotional creatures, not logical. So intelligence isn't what appeals to a female. If this were true, every nerd would have the most women, but that has never been true. Stan Lee created Spider-Man back in 1963, and even then Peter Parker was best known for girls mocking his intelligence. And that's what they still do today. Why? Because females aren't attracted to a strong mind. They're attracted to a strong personality. What you know is irrelevant to them. That is why religions have always appealed to women, even if the religion outright oppressed them. As long as the man speaking projected a strong personality, females will submit to it. Females crave security, and if you sound like you believe everything you're saying, that gives them security, even if you don't really know what you're talking about. Females don't need to know things. They just need to feel things. So that's why what you know doesn't impress them. If you don't have the personality to go along with it, they don't care. To value what you know over what you feel is a masculine trait. That's why the females who most value what they know over what they feel are lesbian. They identify with men. Thugs practice the art of personality. That's why they always pay so much attention to how they dress. And females value attention to details, even if it's only superficial. That's why women's underwear has elaborate designs, but men's don't. They both have the same function, but the buyers have different values. All women drone on endlessly about their shoes, and surprise, surprise, so do the thugs. Nerds, on the other hand, care nothing for style. They care about intelligence, and knowledge is about what you know, not how you look. The reason pimps have always known how to appeal to women no matter where she comes from is because he understands as long as he looks like he cares about his appearance, and as long as he talks like he believes every word he's saying, then she will believe it too. Think about most preachers you know. What did they all do before they became preachers? The answer usually involves dealing drugs or running whores. So is it any wonder he's a pastor? Karl Marx called religion the opiate of the masses. So there's your drug. And since the most important skill for a preacher today is to talk the women out of their money, it's tailor-made for a pimp. The majority of people at church are women, and they want a man with a strong personality. And hey, let's face it, nothing is stronger than saying, I talk to God. Even though common sense tells you he cannot talk to God. Even though most of these guys can't and don't even bother to quote their Bibles anymore. Let's talk about this so-called confidence that females constantly attribute to thugs. You're always hearing how they're so self-assured and how much swag they have. What this really means is these males live in their own little worlds with their own language, culture, and customs. Females value being different, even if it's useless different, even if it's destructive different. This is why women have lots of shoes and most have uncomfortable heels. They want different. Different is fine, except when you subscribe your fetish for variety to people. Men are sometimes susceptible to this as well, but I'm trying to explain women here. Women, especially your women of the bastard babymaker age, don't make any real distinction between good different and bad different. This is why a company won't hire an employee with a felony, and a daycare won't hire someone with a criminal record, but females today won't think twice about going out with, sleeping with, or having kids with multiple males with criminal record after criminal record. The quality of the male is not what's important. How he makes her feel is what's important. When a female tells the bookworm that you're not exciting, you're boring, what she means is you don't send her through emotional changes. The only real time men tolerate emotional changes is during sports. But females today are emotional thrill seekers, so they prefer a man who brings them a steady diet of drama. While this is not exceptional for teenagers, remember, nerds don't desire to be teenagers. We bypassed adolescence and went straight to adulthood. We didn't desire to be irresponsible, careless, or reckless. We demanded structure. And as I said before, these are the traits that made us good students, good employees, and finally, good employers. But a man who demands structure isn't going to present much drama or emotional high. Another difference between nerds and thugs is that nerds are good students, and because of that, we're conditioned to accept a fallacy if it came from the right source. Our parents and teachers taught us the lie that girls mature faster than boys emotionally. This is, of course, untrue. People mature at the rate which you demand of them. But when a good student is told something, he learns to live by it. Thugs, on the other hand, don't believe anything about females except what you can prove. A thug doesn't believe any female is smarter or more mature than he is. He believes that every female is willing to give him what he wants if he can figure out what she wants to hear. And he concentrates his energies toward just that, saying what she wants to hear. Remember, females are vain creatures. They are constantly trying to one-up each other. That means they all seek a status symbol. And just because a girl wears glasses and likes to read doesn't make her any different. A guy who can't play football doesn't keep wishing he could play football. But all females dream of being princesses. No matter how fat she is, no matter how nerdy, no matter how shapeless she is, she never gets tired of the idea of her walking into a room and gaining everyone's attention. Nerdy guys don't try to hang out with the football players, but nerdy females try to hang out with the cheerleaders. When you find the nerdy boy with glasses and ask him to name the type of female he likes, he never says the Rihannas and Nicki Minaj's. That's because those females are popular with thugs and low-intelligence males. But nerds don't want to identify with thugs on any level. Not their females, not their music, not their clothing, nothing. Nerds eventually realize that fitting in is nothing to be desired. But what about the nerdy females? When you ask them to name a kind of guy that they like, they will say the exact same ones that the ratchet females say. Lil Wayne, Chris Brown, etc. You would think that nerdy females would be female versions of the nerdy boys, but that's wrong. Nerdy boys grow up wanting to change the world. Nerdy females grow up wanting to become like the rest of the world. And after all, being a princess, first and foremost, means being popular. In TV, movies, and books, what is the first thing that the female nerd does in order to become popular? She goes and gets a makeover. And what does this makeover always do? It makes her look like the rest of the females. She doesn't want to be equal to the cheerleaders. She wants to become the cheerleaders. What is the first step for a nerdy girl becoming popular? They always take away her glasses, the primary symbol of her intelligence and nonconformity. So the nerdy girls, even the ones who don't get rid of their glasses, may look like nerdy boys, but they think and act like ratchets and thugs. Nerdy guys want a girl like themselves. Nerdy girls want a guy who is nothing like them because they are ashamed of being nerds and they envy the bad girls and cheerleaders. And this is the reason you'll find college-educated females with good careers listening to gangster rap and having bastard babies with pants-sagging lowlives. They never stop wanting to be the it girl from their high school days, even when it's clear they can never be the it girl. So if you're an intelligent black male, you've got a ton of disadvantages against you. You've been conditioned to have poor social skills. Your parents and teachers have inadvertently reinforced those poor social skills. You are competing against males who spend their every waking moment scheming on females. You want a structured, controlled life, but the females are looking for an exciting, reckless person. And to add insult to injury, even the nerdy females want to stop being nerds. All of this adds up to a quiet, lonely ride for the intelligent black males, and it persists long after you leave school. So, that's the bad news. Now, here's the good news. Fitting in with the stupid is for losers. You see, Superfly was popular with the girls, but Superfly never became a superhero. It takes a Peter Parker to become a Spider-Man. And while it may seem like a drag to not be the most stylish or most popular guy in school, you need to remember that the strong take from the weak, but the smart take from the strong. And when it all comes down, at the end of the day, the race isn't going to be won by the school quarterback or the frat brothers or the rapper lookalike. It's going to be won by the person with the most knowledge, the most ideas, and the most heart and determination to see them through. So your parents and teachers were wrong about when you were going to win, but they were right that in the end, you'll win. Understand this, the universe doesn't run on sex. It isn't powered by popularity. It isn't controlled by fashion trends, fads, or cute shoes. The universe is ruled by math and language, and the people who master how to count and how to talk will lord over those who don't. See, no one holds you responsible for not being able to count or read in grade school. Grade school is a fake world where you still get to eat and wear clothes even if you haven't gained the skills to acquire them. Thugs live and thrive in the fake world. But you see, nerds rule the real world. And sooner or later, the thugs and hoes will have to come out here, on our turf, where we make the rules. Because if you're a nerd, your entire life you've been prepared to go out into the real world. So your ability to learn, your discipline, your drive, your focus, your strict adherence to reading and counting at a high level are all the things that will give you mastery of the world around you. Now you will still need to learn social skills because you cannot change the world if you do not understand the world. We have to stop being afraid to talk to people. While the thugs are out meeting and greeting everyone they can, we're sitting on the sidelines like a wallflower waiting to be asked out onto the dance floor. And we have to shed ourselves of the myth that just because we're the smartest, that all good things will come to us. As Abraham Lincoln said, good things may come to those who wait, but only the things left by those who hustle. And it's time for nerds to learn how to hustle. Don't worry about being popular. Worry about being powerful. Don't worry about chasing females. Chase power, and the females will chase you. Don't worry about being accepted. Worry about being in control, and you will write the rules for what is accepted. There is no future for those who look cute and know nothing. The future belongs to those who can think and will act on their thoughts. The only time a thug beats a nerd is when the nerd is too shy and too scared to compete. So it isn't the thugs who are beating you. It's you who's beating yourself. Stop being ashamed of who you are, believing the lie that you're somehow inferior. Because you aren't just the smartest guy in the room. You're also the best.